Hi, I'm Caroline. Thank you for joining me today for some teen yoga. Today we're going to start standing and we're going to have a little bit of a gap between our feet. So beginning to come into our mountain pose, Tadasana. Lifting the toes up, spreading the toes, and then gently placing them back down. Making sure the feet are parallel. You have softness in the knees, trying not to lock the knees. And then gently rolling the shoulders up, back, and down. Find that tall, long length in your Tadasana, in your mountain pose. Tucking the chin in a couple of centimeters. So finding length in the body. And starting to breathe in and out through the nose. Noticing which parts of the body the breath is reaching. Starting to encourage the breath towards the belly. Inhaling to expand the upper chest, the rib cage in all directions, the belly, and maybe noticing a little movement in the lower back. Full, complete breath to nourish the whole body. Gently tucking the chin, opening the eyes, and bringing the head back up to center. So keeping that length of the breath in mind as we go through our yoga practice, just being aware of the breath and using it as an anchor throughout our yoga session today. We're going to breathe in, reaching up towards the sky, and breathe out to bring the arms back down and a little bit behind the body. So bringing some movement to the shoulders, breathing in, making the movement last as long as the inhalation. And breathing out, bringing the hands back down behind the body. Breathing in. And breathing out, working with your breath. So your rhythm might be a little different from me. As you get to the top, with the hands reaching a little bit higher, taking a pause before you exhale. And making this your final breath in and out and coming back to mountain pose. From here, we're going to stretch the pectoral muscles. So clasping the hands behind you and drawing the hands down towards the ground. So immediately the shoulders are going to feel a little bit of a stretch. Maybe taking the hands away, just making sure you're not pushing the hips away from that beautiful line in mountain pose. Drawing the shoulder blades down the back. And then gently releasing your hands. We're going to come into our first forward fold to wake up the hamstrings down the back of the legs. So remembering to have a bit of a bend in the knees if that's what you need today. Feet hip distance apart, making sure the feet are parallel, toes are pointing forwards. Finding that length once more in the spine, bringing the hands to the hips today, breathing in. Breathing out, leading with the heart. So we're folding from the hips and slowly making our way with the crown of the head towards the ground. So bending the knees as much as you need to make the stretch feel comfortable.
and then allowing the hands to release. And maybe the fingertips reach the floor, maybe you take hold of opposite elbows. You're looking towards the back of the room where you're practicing or behind you. So gently taking a nod and a shake of the head to make sure the neck is relaxed. The sitting bones, the bones at the top of the thighs there, reaching out for the ceiling to increase that stretch down the back of the legs. But remembering this is your yoga practice. So making sure it's right for your body. It feels good for you. From here, we're going to gently take our hands over to the left so the feet aren't moving. And then back over to center and to the right. Taking a breath on each side. We're going to do that 2 more times. So slowly coming back through to center. And over to the left, taking a breath here. Coming back through center, over to the right. So we're starting to bring twists into the spine here. Great for the central nervous system. But also in a forward fold, we're massaging all the internal organs. The kidneys, the digestive system. And then slowly coming back up to center, or round to center. Bringing the hands to the hips. We've been down for quite a while, so taking a time to come up, bending into the knees a little more, pushing through the feet to come up slowly. And bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. So from here, we're going to stretch a little bit more into the pectoral muscles and maybe even the rib cage. We're going to come into prayer position behind our back or holding opposite elbows. So it might be, you'll see I need to wiggle my fingers together to come into prayer position, or you can hold opposite elbows. So coming back into our mountain pose, making sure we've got soft knees, shoulders are drawing down, and then slowly maneuvering your hands behind you. So making this work for you, we're going to hold this for 5 breaths. So just making sure if you're holding opposite elbows, that feels comfortable for you. You could also hold opposite wrists. Or if you're in prayer position, just making sure that the breath isn't labored. You can still breathe. It's not too much. It's not too tight. So in yoga, we're always trying to practice our yogasana, yoga poses, with satya, honesty. So we're being honest with our bodies and ourselves about what we need and what will benefit us, but also ahimsa. So thinking about kindness and compassion towards our bodies. So not forcing anything, allowing the body to speak to us and following its lead. Gently releasing the hands wherever they may be and giving the wrists a little roll. We'll come into our motorbike pose now. So bringing the fists out in front of you as though you might be on a motorbike. And then we're gently taking the knuckles forward. So it's a bit like revving a motorbike. We're getting a stretch into the wrists. You might feel this all the way up your arm. There's no right or wrong way to feel this. And gently bring the knuckles up as well. And bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. We're going to come into a sun salutation now, or a version of a sun salutation with a few added poses into it. Coming to the top of your mat if you're working on the mat. If you're working on the floor, making sure you feel comfortable where you are and you've got enough space behind you to step back. Rolling the shoulders up, back and down. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards. So back into our forward fold, our Uttanasana. On the next inhalation, bringing the hands to the shin, the shoulders away from ears, we're coming into a flat back position. And then exhaling to come back into our forward fold. From here, we're going to step the right foot back, drop the right knee. The left knee is directly above the left ankle. Breathing in, reaching up, taking the gaze up to the sky. 3 breaths here. And then bringing the hands back down. The right hand is going to become parallel with the left foot, and we're going to come into a twist. So we're turning towards the left-hand side. Palm is facing away from you. Breathing here. And then slowly bringing the hands back to center. We're going to come into a version of lizard pose now. So wriggling the left foot out towards the left a little bit further. And then maybe coming on to fingertips or to fists. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears and coming through the center. So you're probably going to feel this into the inner thighs, the hips. You may feel it elsewhere. Just coming as far as you can for this to be a positive stretch. You might be able to come down a little further, and you can very gently, if your knee is safe and feels okay, roll onto the little toe edge of the left foot to increase the stretch. From here, gently coming back up to center. Bringing that left foot back to where it was. So we're back in our runner's lunge here. We're going to step back into our plank pose. So either coming to knees or toes, making sure the fingers are spread, middle fingers are pointing forwards, shoulders away from ears, hands are under the shoulders. The gaze is towards the floor, so the neck is in line with the spine. Strong plank pose. From here, dropping the knees and coming all the way down to the floor, we're going to come into Cobra. So the hands are under the shoulders, the elbows are tucked in, breathing in to come up. So the middle fingers are pointing forwards, the hands are spread, fingers are spread, elbows are coming in, they're drawing into the rib cage. Just a gentle back bend. And then on the next exhalation, slowly coming back down towards the mat. We're bringing the hands towards the chest, tucking the toes, and we're going to come into a very gentle downward dog. So gentle because the knees are going to be bent. The feet are hip distance apart, the knees are bent, hands placed shoulder width apart, shoulders drawing away from the ears, finding the length in the spine. So it's almost like we're trying to get the belly towards the thighs. Making sure the neck is relaxed in line with the spine. From here, we're going to take our right foot forward. So you may want to just bring your knees back to the ground and step forwards, or you can lift the right leg if you've got space and gently swing it through. So we're in our runner's lunge again with the left toes on the floor, the knee isn't down. You can drop the knee if that feels better for you. The left hand is now parallel with the right. It can be a fist, and then we're reaching up towards the right hand side into our twist again. Bringing the hands back down to center, and the left foot is coming parallel with the right. We're back into our forward fold or Uttanasana. From here, we're going to bend into the knees a little bit more so we can power through the feet and reach up. Breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. And then we'll come over to the other side. So I'm changing directions. You may want to, you may like where you are. Just making sure again, you've got enough space to step back. The feet are parallel, the toes are pointing forwards, finding our length in our mountain pose. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards. Remembering to have that bend in the knees, making your Uttanasana work for your body. Breathing in, bringing the hands to the shins, shoulders away from ears, flat back. Breathing out, folding forwards. This time the left foot is stepping back, so stepping the left foot back, dropping the knee. From here, we're breathing in, and instead of reaching up, we're going to reach behind us. So reaching towards the floor for another stretch across the top of the chest, creating some beautiful space for the breath. Releasing the hands, coming forwards, placing the left hand parallel with the right, or maybe the left fist, and reaching up with the right hand towards the right hand side. Coming into our twist. The palm is facing away from you, just making sure the right knee doesn't fall out, still tracking above the right ankle. And then gently bringing that hand back to center. This is where we're coming into a version of lizard. So we're going to wriggle the right foot out towards the right a little bit so we can come in and through the center. So maybe you're on fists, maybe the hands are flat. Maybe you want to rock onto that little toe edge of the right foot. So just making this your pose again. Creating some space around the pelvis and the hips here. Gently taking that foot back to center. So wriggling the foot back, coming back up. This is where we're going to step into our plank. So take your time to step into plank, either on your toes or your knees, making sure the hands are spread either way. Inner elbows are facing in towards each other, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Gently bring the knees down to the mat. Coming through onto the chest and coming into Cobra. So hands are under shoulders, elbows are tucked in. As we breathe in, we come up. On the next exhalation, coming back down, bring the hands a little bit further back towards the chest, tucking the toes and coming into a downward dog. And again, maybe bending the knees, making it a little bit softer for the body, making sure we found the length in the back, or maybe you're able to straighten the legs now, the hamstrings, finding a bit more length. Belly towards the thighs, shoulders away from the ears. So from here, we are going to bend our knees and come back into our lunge. You may want to lift the left leg and swing it through. So making your version or your comfortable transition. And then bringing the right foot parallel with the left. So back into our forward fold. From here, we're bending into the knees. We're going to inhale as we reach through and up. And exhaling to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. So a beautiful succession of poses, stretch the whole body, and hopefully you felt the breath was even throughout that. We're going to come down to our mats. So the knees are bent, hands are on the belly. Allow the shoulders to soften. And we'll take a few minutes here to breathe. Bringing the focus to your breath once again, if you can today, breathing in and out through the nose. Maybe closing down the eyes. So just closing off one sense organ can really help us focus inwards. Following the breath in and out.
If thoughts come into your mind, noticing them, accepting them, acknowledging them, and then letting them go. Bringing thoughts back to the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. Taking 3 more breaths. Expanding the ribcage upwards and outwards. Allowing the belly to rise and fall with the breath. And then when you're ready, taking the time to come up to a seated position, rolling onto your right hand side to begin with. Taking a moment there and using the hands to push yourself up to a seated position. And once you're there, bringing the hands together at heart center, joining both halves of the body together. Finding length in the spine, space in the chest for the breath. And just taking a moment to notice how you feel. And to finish our session today, I'm going to take my hands up to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to my heart center to remind us all to have kind actions. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today for some yoga. If you enjoyed the session, do please click on the thumbs up and maybe even click subscribe in the bottom right hand corner so you'll get notifications when other classes become available for you to practice at home anytime you feel you would like to practice some yoga. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.